How do we look?
Fabulous, darling.
Darling.
How do you feel today, Vin?
Oh, are you alluding to the fact that I just got back from 2 hours of playing soccer?
Yeah, and I asked, oh, did you get hurt? You're like, no, I got old.
6 days of recovery before next week. Dip, 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 dip.
Yeah, it's okay. I can call him old all I want, though, because I'm older.
I married up.
I'm married down?
Okay, that backfired.
Yeah, a little bit.
But why you can't quit your phone? That's a topic and a half.
I'd say. I found a picture online the other day of a woman sitting and reading a book or on her phone, and her kid was like tugging at her dress trying to get her attention, and she was obviously very preoccupied with whatever she was doing. And this just made me pause. I looked at it and I was like, wow.
You sent it to me, didn't you?
Yeah, I sent it to you and said, like, we have to capture this feeling because it rang so true to me, and I'm sure it does to a lot of you as well. Because so often when I'm with the kids, like at the playground or here at home or really wherever, I'm like on my phone just sending a message or checking the news or something that's super important to me right then and there. But really, when I think about it, it's not as important as my kids are. And I let my kids know, yeah, I'll be with you in 2 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes to finish this super important thing.
There are a lot of things that are going on beneath the surface that have nothing to do with you being a sucky parent or being bad at listening to your kids. And there are also ways to get around that short of throwing your phone out the window. For a lot of parents, it's a difficult topic. It certainly is for us, and we wanted to kind of dive into that for that purpose. So I hope you stick around to the end and let us know what your thoughts are. If it's helpful, then, leave us a comment and let us know. Phones aren't a bad thing, Christine.
I've never said they're bad. Have you said they're bad?
No.
No? So phones aren't bad. I use my phone so much. Like, I can't imagine living without my calendar, for one. I do recipes on my phone, play music for the kids, and I read on my phone. So, like, there's so many good things I do on my phone. Loads of organizing apps on there, too.
Loads and loads of organizing help that you can get through your phone. So phones, have we made the point? Phones aren't bad.
No. Like, what apps do you use? Like, what can't you imagine living without? Let us know.
But that's not all that we use our phones for, and a lot of the stuff we do end up spending our time on just isn't as uplifting or helpful as the stuff that we just talked about. I spend a lot of my time looking at news. A lot of the news just isn't very positive, and social media, I kind of end up on social media without even realizing half the time. Like, I've got my phone up and I'm like, oh, scrolling through my Facebook feed.
I made the mistake of looking at my digital balance the other day. I mean, I use my calendar a lot. I just told you that. But I looked at it and said, oh yeah, you spent 20 minutes in your calendar today and an hour and a half on Facebook and an hour on a little silly game.
Yeah.
So
silly games, looking at YouTube videos. I mean, not all YouTube videos are bad. You should keep watching the good ones. What was that? Can you see that I'm like... Sorry,
You're getting ready. You're getting ready to say something important.
Let's talk dopamine.
What is dopamine?
Well,
It's
I
a
mean,
hormone.
okay.
Or neurotransmitter. I just... Please.
Hold on. I have an idea of how we should attack this. Because you are not a psychologist, and I'm not a neuroscientist. So talking about dopamine, I mean, we're maybe a little bit out of our depth.
But I know how to use Wikipedia, and this is what it said about it.
Well, why don't you read that instead of trying to memorize what it actually says?
I wanted to sound smart. Okay, I'll read it instead. So dopamine is a hormone. I can't even say it. Dopamine is a hormone and a neurotransmitter that plays several important roles in the brain and body. Dopamine is something that makes you happy. It's something that releases excitement and happiness,
happy feelings
inside of your body.
The thing that I found most interesting about dopamine doing the research for this video is that it actually is very intricately tied with the idea of what's around the corner? Oh, what can I expect? It's something that is actually driving us to improve our prospects for the future. But I think in today's world, it's also been kind of condensed down into this thing that feeds our little habits that don't really give anything back. The power of maybe has been used to kind of in a nutshell, describe the idea of dopamine and how it impacts us. So you wake up in the morning and you know that there are notifications on your phone and you're like, ooh, maybe this is something really good. Maybe this is something that's like really something to get excited about.
Exactly.
And that's what kind of like drives you to like do the action associated with that.
Back in the olden days, the cavemen, like they had dopamine rush when they saw like an animal running, and that it's what made them like use all their power and all their energy to catch that animal, because it was like, ooh, that animal is gonna keep me alive and taste really good. That's why dopamine is important, because it is a really good thing. But like you said, in today's world, it's just too easy to come by.
I think so. At that, I think we should look at our notes again.
Good idea. So actual reward minus expected reward.
I think that's a very important
That's
part.
good. Yeah.
But here we are, back again.
Well, hello there.
Hello there. The strength of any given dopamine rush can be quantified as like the actual reward minus the expected reward. So anytime something like fun and exciting unexpectedly happens, you have more feelings of euphoria and excitement associated with that event.
Because it wasn't expected.
Because it wasn't expected. The thing is, when you start repeating events, then you build the expectation. You know what to expect. You know that it's coming. So you basically have to get something more out of it for the strength of that dopamine rush to be the equivalent of what it was to begin with.
If we are used to like getting a certain rush from dopamine and all of a sudden we don't get that, then we seek it out more and we feel sad because we don't have that rush.
But it's not like that, you know, you have a rush of dopamine in your brain and in your body and then it just stays there, because as soon as the event has passed or you have what you were like craving, then, you know, it's there and then it's gone. But you crave, it's addictive. It's something that you keep coming back to.
So when you were saying that, I mean, if it's unexpected, then you get a big rush, and then when you get used to it, then it gets smaller and smaller. So then you need to seek out more and more of this to satisfy that rush that you're craving.
And the thing is, it's not just phones. I mean, it can be anything from sugary or salty foods. It could be gambling, narcotics, pornography, so on and so forth. But if you look at most of these things, what they have in common is that they're so much easier to come by today than they were 20 years ago.
Yeah, when I was a kid, and I'm not saying I'm old here, if I needed to call my friend or tell my friend what I saw on my way home from school, then I had to walk all the way home, pick up the phone, wait for her to get home, and then have a conversation about it. Now, like, our 9-year-old has a cell phone, and he gets like a ding in his pocket, and his friend sends him an emoji, and he sends like a haha lol back, and they're having like a conversation. It's so easy, and it happens so much more.
Yeah. Sorry, did you often call your friends to tell them about what you saw on your way home from school back in the day?
No.
What did you see?
I don't know. I mean, girls talk about everything, so yeah, I probably did tell them about some people I'd bike past. I don't know, shut up. Okay, let's go. I know we haven't quite done this one.
No, but I think it's important also to talk about this with regards to the dopamine as like almost an antidote, not a very good one, to feelings of boredom or depression or sadness or loneliness.
Yeah, because with social media, you get that feeling of your loved ones being close by, and then as soon as you're done reading that message or you're done with whatever like that you got from them, then you're right back to feeling like, oh, they're not here anymore.
Yeah, because your brain is like looking at the pictures and like, oh, they're here, but then they aren't. And the thing is, people behind social games and social media, they realize this. They realize that you will keep coming back for that little bit of dopamine rush, and they have engineered their platforms to make it so that like you keep coming back.
People like talking about themselves. I mean, I love telling stories about my life and my kids and showing pictures of them. Aren't they cute and stuff? Now, in real life, you talk about yourself around 30 to 40% of the time in a conversation. Whereas on social media, you talk about yourself and you show pictures of yourself 80% of the time. So it's like a completely different way of like presenting yourself, and you're putting yourself out there.
And then, you know, on Instagram, when you post something, then instead of like giving you the likes that you receive on your content when you post your content, they kind of spread it out, because they know that, okay, if you get, you know, one big rush of dopamine, then you're not going to keep coming back. But if they kind of spread out the likes and piecemeal feed them to you, then you're more likely to spend more time on their platform.
Every time you get a ding, you go into their platform. Ding!
Ding! Have you noticed how the notifications that you receive on Facebook now, I feel like 80 to 90% of them now are just fluff compared to like 10 years ago when Facebook was still fresh?
I didn't know.
No, I mean, it just seems like when we checked notifications 10 years ago, it's like everything was connected to you and your connections on the platform. I feel like now it's like events and
Groups.
and you've got a lot more advertisements on your wall or on your feed. It's not as nicely curated an experience as it used to be. From Facebook's point of view, you've used the platform for so long. You have gotten used to it. It is a habit / an addiction at this point. And they know that you'll keep coming back, and they just have to do enough to feed you notifications.
It's the power of maybe. Like, oh, maybe this is something that is interesting to me. It wasn't.
We're also not using it as much for the person-to-person interactions as we used to.
Huh.
What do you think?
I think you're right. What do you think? I'm sorry, I thought you were talking to me.
No, I was talking to you. I was also talking to you. Please let us know if that's your experience as well. What do you think? Do you use social media a lot? Have you gotten rid of social media? Mm-hmm. I think this is a good time to mention how we're not using social media for a month.
That's right. So all this talk about dopamine is actually something that we're doing because it's leading into another video that we're doing right now.
We started this week.
Yes, we did. We're doing a dopamine fast for a month. So that means we're not watching any TV at all. We're not doing any computer games or social media of any kind. We're using our phone basically.
Strictly limiting our phone to
calling and texting and planning and
sugary foods, salty foods, fast food, that kind of stuff. We're also trying to limit. We haven't finished the experiment, so we don't really know what's going to come out of it or what our takeaway points will be in terms of what we'll keep doing after this month of dopamine fasting. But we're quite excited to see. And if you are as well and you haven't already, then make sure you subscribe so you get notified when that video is out. Hopefully within the next couple of months.
Oh, and we're doing this with our kids as well. They're also doing the fast with us.
Ooh, yeah. They were not super excited. So that's a lot of talk about dopamine and why you can't quit your phone. And we also mentioned that there's a way to get around that. And I think, if you're still here, which you have to be to be hearing my voice at this point in time, we don't expect you to do a dopamine fast. I mean, it's a big undertaking. And there are smaller steps that you can take to basically be more intentional with your life and with your time and have less of it hijacked by your phone and by social media, social games, so on and so forth. One thing that we have been doing for a while that's actually been quite good is that we don't charge our phones by our bedside. So we usually have a charging station somewhere outside of the bedroom, maybe in the bathroom. For us, that works pretty well because then we brush our teeth and get ready for bed and we just plug in our phones at the same time. That means that at least, when we wake up in the morning, we don't pick up our phone as the first thing.
You can also disable notifications. That's something I did a while ago for Facebook, and it makes me go a lot less on Facebook than I used to. Another thing is to put your display in black and white. I have not tried this, but I read about it and I'm gonna try it at some point.
Apparently it makes it so that your phone is a little less appealing to you, like using it and scrolling through stuff. Some of it has to do with the fact that, again, if you're looking at pictures of people on Facebook or on Instagram, your brain doesn't quite recognize, okay, this is just a picture. This is not an actual real human being in your phone. Whereas if it's in black and white, then your brain's like, wait, hold on. What's going on here?
Also, having a set time a day where you check your phone instead of just having it checked all the time, but when the kids go to bed, I have 30 minutes to check my social media. And then time yourself. Using a tomato timer or some other timer really helps with that too.
Yeah, and you can actually set up a lot of the phones nowadays, the modern technological devices, they allow you to do this within whatever's built into the phone, when you get it and when you start using it right from the factory.
That was good. We're keeping that.
You get what I'm saying. You can play around with your phone and set limits and restrictions based on what your plan is for your phone usage. You should mention the family link.
I should.
Yeah.
I will. Okay.
Do it now.
Also, having an accountability partner, either in real life or a virtual accountability partner. You have apps for that stuff as well. We have an app called Family Link that we discovered recently and we love it. We use it for our son. The phone is a big universe for a little kid. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff on there that we don't want him to be looking at or spending time on. So it gives me complete control of whatever he does.
You know what? I think one of the things that make it a lot easier for you to quit a certain behavior or change a habit is to focus less on the stuff that you're trying to quit and focus more on what you're going to substitute that event or thing with. Mm-hmm. So if you want to stop using your phone as much as you currently are, then prepare. Research things that you can do with your kids. Look into what you would rather spend your time on than, mindlessly looking through your phone. and then do those things.
Yeah, because so often, I mean, I don't want to share this, but I'm gonna now. Like, so often the kids come over and they're like, hey mom, can we do Play-Doh, or can we do like pearls, little beads or whatever? And if I am tired and exhausted and I'm trying to feed the baby and do a bunch of things at once, my default answer is, no, why don't you read a book right here or watch a show or something that's easy. But if you've prepared these things ahead of time so they're easy to get to, then they're so much easier to use as replacement activities, and they're more fun for the kids and for you.
I also think that writing in a journal, that's something that we've been doing more of, is a good way to kind of deal with the underlying emotions. There's a trigger somewhere that leads you to pick up your phone, whether it's, you know, just a moment of boredom or silence or loneliness. You know, you pick it up, and then you're in that universe, and you're not thinking about like how to maybe more properly deal with the underlying emotions. I think journaling, writing, you know, down your thoughts, what it is that you're experiencing, nothing super fancy, but it's a good way to kind of dissect what it is that you are experiencing and trying to resolve it at the core rather than just like dealing with the symptoms.
We hope this was helpful and it's given you some ideas or tips for what you can do to lower the amount of time you spend on your electronic devices.
And be more intentional.
And spend the time that you have on the things that are more important to you. Over here, we actually have a video about what to do when you're feeling stressed out and overwhelmed, which is often the times that you pick up the phone.
Check it out.